All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back once again to another very special edition of Red Pill News. As always, my name is Zak Paine, the corruption detector, and joining me today is my very good friend, Josh Ward from Noble Gold. Josh, it's a pleasure to have you here, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks, Zach. It's exciting to be on your show.
Awesome. So yeah, there is a lot going on, and it's highly fortuitous for you that you're here, because one of the most incredible stories in the last decade probably broke, and I actually was dying to talk to somebody about it. So I'm sure you're aware, there was a CIA agent, a rather high-level CIA agent. He was like literally at the pinnacle of the senior executive service, there for about 2 decades. He, for some reason, at the tail end of his tenure, decided to start smuggling millions upon millions of dollars in gold bullion. And I don't know if it was in coins. I don't know if it was in kilo bars. But either way, we're talking like $45 million in gold. Now, that's crazy for anyone. But what's even crazier is that not only did he do that and almost get away with it, but when they caught him, it also was determined that not only had he been fudging his time card, but he had also completely lied about his entire background, claimed to have had advanced degrees from a number of different universities. We're talking, beyond master. He was, beyond the bachelor's. He was at the master's level, supposedly. But he also claimed at various times to be a test pilot for both the Navy and the Air Force. And I mean, my mind is just blown reading this. I know the CIA is corrupt, I think, as a rule, but I thought that they had a much better handle on the people that they were hiring. and for me to look at this and see that he was able to get away with all of this for so many years, it makes me think that there's got to be something more to the story. I mean, like, I simply don't believe it's possible for somebody to have risen to that level within the CIA and to have not had some type of help from the inside. Because, I don't know, have you ever been in the military? You ever done intelligence work? All right.
No.
When you do that stuff, all right, they put you through the ringer, okay? You've got lie detector tests that you take. You've got like an 8 to 10 hour debrief. They go into your personal life. They scrape through all your communications. They speak to anyone that you know or that you might have known. If you say you went to a college, Clemson, as he said, for an example, they're going to go and speak to your professors at Clemson. They're going to talk to the hot girl that sat next to you in econ. But in this instance, apparently, none of that happened. It's insane.
No. I mean, I personally, I've never wanted to have a beer with somebody so bad in my life. I mean, this guy is just unbelievable, right? I mean, and it really shows you. This is the perfect example of our entire government, right?
Yes.
This is the people who run California.
Yep.
This is the people who run New York, right? These are the people who run Minnesota, right? This is the people who are supposed to be serving us, and they're only serving themselves. I mean, it's pretty wild to me to even think about how a CIA, someone who works for the government, can accumulate 45 million. It was a 303 1 kilo gold bars, right? Which are 1,000 grams.
Yeah.
So today, those are a little over 150 grand a piece today. And he had 303 of them tucked in underneath his mattress, right? I mean, an unbelievable amount of gold. And where the hell did it come from? Did it come from Fort Knox? Did it come from Russia? Did it come from China? I mean, it makes you think, what the hell is going on? And I really like that Trump retweeted this, right? So he, on True Social, he put he retweeted or reposted this article, and he's like, we got to audit Fort Knox, right? And I'm so glad that we're hearing about that again, right? Because it was hot 6 months ago, and then now you haven't heard about it in months. So it's nice to have that back on the ticket, and I really hope that we get an audit in there. I think that would be huge.
Dude, that would be one of the biggest things that I could possibly imagine. I was a Ron Paul supporter back in the day. So this idea of auditing the Fed has been something that I have been hammering for so many years. And I, too, was wishing that something was going to come back around and make it finally take place. The thing that really occurs to me, obviously, besides the enduring and eternal value of gold as the only real currency, but this was apparently not something that's unusual within the CIA. I mean, like, if you've got a source or you're trying to buy off a government or a government official, you want something that you're not going to be able to trace back and something that they're going to feel comfortable receiving. A wire from a Swiss bank account, maybe not so comfortable with that. Even a transfer of crypto, obviously that can be traced. But you do a Bob Menendez, you hand over a couple of kilos of gold, and you're good to go. So
that's correct.
I guess that this is just what they do in the CIA. Obviously, they've got black budgets, they've got operations that they're running, and they're not going to tell Congress. They're certainly not going to tell the American people. But it makes me wonder just, how often does this happen? How much gold is just going out into the world and buying off people? Because if it didn't come from Fort Knox, then does the CIA have their own vault of gold in the basement? Did they go to, I don't know, the Bank of London or, whatever the exchange is here in the United States? Did they just go pick it up from there? I mean, there's got to be a stash somewhere. There's got to be a hoard. And I feel like that's the American people's money. I really want that to be the case.
That's right. And any CIA officials, watching this, I'm available if you need gold for, just give me a call, give Noble Gold a call. We got all the gold in the world here to send you. It's
great.
It's just wild. We laugh about it and it's funny, but it really, it's unbelievable what's coming out to light here. And this is just, I think, the tip of the iceberg. This is just one guy that nobody's heard of. Imagine what they do with politicians, right?
Oh,
Imagine how many gold bars Ilhan Omar has underneath her mattress, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or Mundami or Newsom or any of these guys. I mean, it's just it's disgusting, and it's our money, and it's just being squandered, right? I mean, this is why you mentioned Ron Paul. I'm a huge Ron Paul guy. I helped his campaign in 2008. I just graduated high school, and we went to all of his events. And I'm a big Ron Paul guy, and that he's kind of got me down this path that I'm at now, right? By auditing the Fed, getting rid of the Fed, getting rid of Fort Knox, or auditing Fort Knox, I should say.
Yep.
I mean, it's American people need answers, and we're not getting them, right? We're getting a lot of the same, which really bothers me. And I think at some point it's going to come to light. And I really am hopeful that under Trump's term that we see this.
Yeah. No, I feel exactly the same. And to your point, there are just so many things that you encounter, so many stories on a daily basis that, I have to look into, facing the level of corruption that exists in the government. It's dark sometimes, most of the time. It's something that can really get to you. I almost feel like you have to allow yourself to engage in just a little bit of like ridiculousness so that you can get past it. Because the truth of the matter is, we can do anything we want. We can fight back as hard as we want. But the problem that we're facing is not something that just propped up in the last 10 years or so. I mean, this is multi-generational, right? We are talking about hundreds of years of subversion of this system that our forefathers put together, and hope that it was going to be very different by the time we got to our age. But yeah, if you don't allow yourself to laugh at it, then I think it's something that can easily drive you insane. Okay. So, definitely in favor of auditing Fort Knox. The one semi-audit that they did many years ago, I think it was pretty obvious that there were some major problems with not only the amount of gold that was there, but also the purity of some of the gold that was there. I'm sure you're aware of, there was a story under Bill Clinton's tenure that there was a whole bunch of gold that had somehow left during the middle of the night. Probably, maybe it was going to the CIA. Maybe that was a payback for all of the work they did in MENA back in the 80s. But yeah, so I would really like to know exactly what's going on there, and I think that the American people deserve it. But you mentioned the Fed. I am also a big fan of abolishing the Fed. I think that's something that needs to happen. It's never made sense to me that a nation as powerful as the United States would pay a private banking cartel, if you want to be honest, an interest rate on money to be printed for us. What has the Fed really done to keep things good for the people of America? I mean, you look at the moves that Jerome Powell has made in the last several years, and none of it seems to be tied to monetary policy, really, at the end of the day. He'll use terms, he'll sort of gloss over it in generalizations, but it all seems to have been political in order to fight back against President Trump and not allow the moves that he's making in the economy to really spread out and to benefit the vast majority of Americans Americans. But the one thing I can tell you is that, in terms of like corporate interest and business interest at the large level, I mean, they've done incredibly well in the last several years. You've got these big firms like BlackRock and Vanguard. And I mean, they've obviously got more money than they're ever going to be able to spend. And they're so big that they can move the market with just the flick of a wrist. And in order for the Fed to truly be addressed as a problem, President Trump obviously has to have at least one person in there, but ideally the entire board of governors would need to be replaced with people who are sympathetic to the America First agenda, making America great again. What's your opinion on Kevin Warsh? Because I know that he's got some history. He was at the Fed. He was on the board of governors previously.
Yes. I mean, it's my opinion on Warsh is about the same as my opinion on any Federal Reserve constituent, right? Yeah. I mean, they are not voted in. They are unelected, and they control the issue and power of money, right? They control the interest rates. So, people don't realize that we didn't have a Federal Reserve until 1913, right? 1913 was the worst year in America. You thought 2020 was bad. 1913, we got the income tax and we got the Federal Reserve all in the same year.
Yep.
Okay. So, we existed from 1776 to 1913 without an income tax, without any sort of tax. We had tariffs that paid for everything, right? And I think that's where Trump is trying to take us now. I mean, I think we need to spearhead this. I think we need to get rid of taxes completely, income taxes, property taxes. We're seeing in states like Texas and Florida that are already going. Yeah, I'm in Texas. So,
I'm in Florida.
Okay, nice. There you go. Yeah. And there's a reason why we're both here, right? There's a reason why we're not in Southern California or New York or Connecticut. It's because we want to live in a free state. And I think that the average person is realizing, the weather's nice in California and all that, but the politicians and the taxes and the government is so egregious that you just, I left, right? They put a gun to my head 5 years ago in California and I left. Yeah. So it was a real easy decision for me, and I've never looked back. And life is great in Texas. Life is great in Florida.
Yes.
And it's I really hope that we can just get rid of them. I mean, we don't need them. They don't serve any purpose. The only purpose that they serve is for the cabal, right? Yep. I mean, they're every dollar that's, people don't realize, every dollar that's created, it has interest on it that gets paid to the Federal Reserve.
Yep.
Every single dollar. How are we ever going to get out of our debt? Is that every dollar is created through debt. That interest has to be paid to the Federal Reserve. Yes. You're never going to pay it off. It's never going to be paid off, right? Yep. I mean, they're going to own us forever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm sorry, my dog is begging at my heels. My wife's got to get her out of here. I don't know if you can hear her. She's down here whining, and I'm like, Muffin, what are you doing? All right. She tends to make appearances when I'm having conversations.
It's okay.
Yeah. So my only hope, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said there. I mean, the idea of us paying for our money to be printed doesn't make any sense. And there have been different movements at various times to try to move away from that. If we go back to John F. Kennedy's presidency, I mean, he was in the process of going back to the silver standard. That lasted a couple of days, and then they took him out, and they obviously never looked back. President Trump, with tariffs, he's been very honest about what tariffs could do for the United States of America. And we can look back historically and see that, this would absolutely be incredible. And he's also been very open about the idea of getting rid of the IRS, or converting the IRS into an agency that, instead of collecting taxes from the people, would just be there to collect the tariffs, which are going to be coming in from people outside of the country. And we've got so many people here in the United States that are not citizens. We could just have them pay taxes. We just don't tax people who are citizens of the United States. I have no problem with that. But one of the reasons we've got such a burden on the citizens is because of all of the fraud that is now also currently being exposed. And so I think it's no wonder that they're fighting so hard against both the tariffs and then also exposing the fraud, because I think that those are methods that we can get to the point where, we can reform and ultimately get rid of the Fed, and then also reform and ultimately get rid of the IRS in its current incarnation. I don't know much about Kevin Warsh, and I totally agree with you. Bureaucrats are going to bureaucrat. If you strive to get a job in mid-level management in the federal government, chances are pretty good it's not because you're in it for the public service. You know, I mean, there's a lot of these people, they know exactly what they're in for when they get to play the game at that level. Yes, exactly. It's a big money payoff. And then once you play once you're on the merry-go-round in DC for a couple of years, then you just hop right off and you get into the private sector. People obviously come and go, but you make even more money that way. And so exposing the fraud shows how ridiculous the levels of spending are in the United States. And I just hope that somebody like Kevin Warsh might come in and get to the point where, you know, perhaps we can begin a process of phasing out the Fed. Let's just spitball this. But, you know, if there was some miracle and tomorrow the Fed was disbanded and suddenly the United States of America went on to print its own money. We're doing it anyways. I mean, it's just like ones and zeros on a computer, basically, and the Fed gets credit for it. Can you think of any negative repercussions we would have for the United States of America? Would that crash the U.S. economy? Would that do something that would ultimately, you know, make the fallout difficult?
You have great question. So going back to a free market that's not controlled by a government is the only solution, right? So when we have the Federal Reserve, we don't have a free market. Period. We haven't had a free market in this country for over 100 years. And we've seen World War I, World War II, the Gulf War, the Iraq War. We've seen booms and busts in 1933. We've 71. 2000, 2008, right? I mean, I think if we go back to a free market and the government quits picking losers and winners and giving all this special access to people, I think we're going to go back to a free economy where you let the chips fall. So I don't think there's anything that can happen in a negative light. Now, I think that if this happens, if we cut the head off the snake, that it's going to go. We're going to go through some pain here in the first year or two, right? There's going to be a lot of volatility, but I think after that, everything would stabilize, and I think the dollar would reach new highs, right? Imagine if we came out tomorrow and said the Federal Reserve's gone, income tax is gone, property tax is gone. We would see it would be like the Industrial Revolution in America all over again, I think, personally, because all of these countries, all of these businesses, all of these companies want to be in America, right? We have the most freedom. We have, our rights are not given by a king or queen here in this country. We're a constitutional republic. And I think a lot of those businesses want to be in America, but the taxes are so bad, right? I mean, like, think about it like this. So you hear everyone moving to Dubai, right? There's no taxes in Dubai, or you pay 10% in Switzerland. Well, if you're a U.S. citizen, you're paying the U.S. tax and that tax. You can't get out of it, right? If you're a Canadian, you can move to the United Arab Emirates and not pay any tax, right? Zero. Okay. But U.S. citizens, we're going to be paying tax for, and to me, that's crazy. Right. Because I considered, taxes are ridiculous. And that's the main reason why I left California, is because of taxes. But you can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide if you're a U.S. citizen. Okay. So I think personally, that's going to change here soon. And I think I really don't think that there would be anything negative happening. I mean, it's like we would go back to a free economy. We would have, we wouldn't have the government in control, right? The biggest problem is the government. Always, it always comes down to the government. It's the government in your pocket. The government telling you what to do, what you can and can't do. Your business permits, all of this stuff. It's all the root of all evil comes back to the government. I think we would be a much freer society. If we didn't have the Federal Reserve, if we didn't have a lot of this government programs that we have now. I mean, we were never set up to run like this, right? America was set up to be very, individualism, right? Doing everything on your own. Now, half the people are on the dole. Over half the people in America are getting a check from the government every month. So how the hell are we going to run the place, right? I mean, imagine if you had a business. I mean, you could never run a business the way the U.S. government runs theirs. Right? It would fail immediately. So let's just stop pretending that the government's got everything figured out and they have your best interest at heart, because they don't. right? I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, and it's if you think anything differently, come down to California. Come down to Southern California. Go take a walk down Los Angeles, right? I'm so happy to see the Spencer Pratt is crushing it in Los Angeles here, and it's so fun to hear about it. And it's like, it's I never thought in a million years we would see a conservative surging in the polls in California, right? I thought it was just kind of a failed state, and that's it. But I think we're going to see California in the next 5 years turn red. Yeah, and I can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
maybe I'll come back. Who knows?
Hey, man, if things change significantly, I can see a lot of people coming back. And then even not just Spencer, but Steve Hilton in the governor's race.
Exactly right.
Now, keep in mind, they've got another 6 weeks to count ballots that are going to be coming in the mail. So anything could happen. But I mean, Steve Hilton's got the most number. He's got the largest percentage of votes right now.
Yeah. And this hasn't happened in 40 years in California, right? No. I mean, since Reagan. So it's huge. This is people voting with their dollars, voting with their mindsets. The average person in California is turning red.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of how terrible this city and this state has been run. Look who's in charge. Karen Bass. I can't watch her for more than 5 seconds without my head wanting to explode. Same thing with Gavin Newsom. Yep. He's slinging around. He's telling you, hey, I'm going to be the best guy for you. I mean, these people are. I never could imagine that people would vote these kind of people in charge, right? Yeah. I mean, these are elected officials. Who the hell would vote for Karen Bass?
Commies.
Right? I mean, what kind of mindset do you have to have in your head if you're not wanting something from the government? I think she's great. I'm going to go vote for Karen Bass, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's absolutely asinine and it's insane. And I think that the fraud in California is so big because of these mail-in ballots.
Yes.
That it might take another 5, 10, 15 years before we can have an honest election in this state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, I mean, I think it's going to be like the Joe Biden 2.0, right? Where, I was watching election night for when Trump was going to get reelected for the second time.
Yep.
And all of a sudden that, he was winning. And then 2:00 in the morning, all of these ballots came in. I mean, 500,000 in a row for Biden, right?
Yep.
And I'm worried that we're going to see the same thing in California because the reality is that the voting system, how we vote in America is completely broken.
Yep.
And it's being exposed. And we're realizing that, why does it take 6 weeks to count the votes in California? And Canada can do it in a couple hours. Yeah. Russia can do it in a couple hours, but it takes 6 weeks in California, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a rigged system, but I have a feeling that there's such an outpour of people that are pissed off and angry in California that we're going to see Spencer Pratt get in. We're going to see Hilton get in, right? And if it's not this time, it's going to be next time.
Yeah, I certainly feel the same way. I mean, this is the number one thing that I'm concerned about is the level of fraud. I mean, California obviously has it dialed in when it comes down to the mail-in ballots. Just yesterday, I don't know why it took so long, but lawsuit was just filed against the Secretary of State by Judicial Watch, if I'm not mistaken, because there's a million, or maybe it's got to be a million. There's like a million or some odd inactive voters on the voter rolls. Like by law, they have to remove them after a certain amount of time. I think it's after 2 elections where they haven't voted, they have to be removed. Of course, nobody does it. I mean, this is why the Civil Rights Division has reached out to every state in the union trying to get them to clean their voter rolls. And to limited degrees, they've had success in a number of states. California would have been great if they could have gotten to it before they held that primary election. But, I mean, simply based upon the fact that it's being looked at, there's a chance in my mind that they may not be willing to so brazenly do what they've done in the past and just, obviously steal it. I'm more worried for Steve Hilton having the election stolen from him because it's much easier to spread out millions of votes across an entire state and all those counties than it is in just one localized spot like it is in Los Angeles. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm hoping that they're going to be too afraid of the backlash of what might happen because you go to Los Angeles, you walk around virtually any city in California, and it's a shithole. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. I used to live in San Diego years ago. And, you know, there was stuff that I saw in San Diego in like 1999, 2000 that I had never seen anywhere. I'm from Michigan originally. And so I moved to San Diego. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I work right on the beach. You know, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a big city. But then I just looked a little bit closer and I realized, like, oh my God, like there's a lot of homelessness here. And, you know, and there were people defecating on the streets, or I was at work one day and there's a guy shooting up right outside of the break room door. And I'm like, what's going on? And everybody was just like totally numb to it. They were like, yeah, you know, this is what happens. And I'm like, I just don't understand why people are accepting this. But I mean, I understand now. You get to a certain point and nothing is being done about it, and it just sort of integrates into your life. You're like, I guess this is how our life is now. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of Californians are scared to say that they're conservative, right? They're scared to say that they're a Republican.
Yep.
I know I grew up in Southern California. I was born and raised in La Cañada, in a nice suburb of California, and I've been a conservative since day one. So I went to a Cal State University college, and I was a big conservative, and my teachers hated me, right? I mean, I had an upper division. I graduated with a finance degree, and I had an upper division finance teacher tell me that the Federal Reserve and the government are the same thing. Yeah. They work together. And I stood up in front of 200 kids and no, the Federal Reserve is as federal as the Federal Express.
Yep.
Right? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And this is an upper division finance teacher, you know, that's teaching the kids. I mean, thank God I didn't listen to any of it, and I wound up okay. But this is the nonsense that they're teaching in California. And so many kids after class, this was a long time ago, but so many kids after class, they wouldn't say a thing during class, right? But afterwards, they'd see me in the hall or they'd see me walking somewhere like, you know what? Hey, I totally agree with you. I just can't say anything because I want to get an A. You know, I can't show my cards because I'm worried about the blowback that I'm going to get from my professor. And I didn't care, right? I mean, for me, it was, you know, I'm paying money. I want to learn something that I can't learn in a book or online, right?
Yep.
And one of my biggest mistakes was going to college, especially a liberal university in California. I mean, I didn't learn anything I couldn't have read in a book. And it really just, you know, it was one of my biggest regrets was going to college and doing that. Which is unfortunate, right? You think a college experience should be amazing. And mine wasn't. Mine was filled with liberal professors, same thing with high school. And it's sad. But people don't realize that there's a huge base of Californians that are conservative, but they're like closet conservatives, right? They're not going to tell anybody that they're conservative. Yeah. The only way you could tell is by the way they vote, right? But every other interaction, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people in California are conservative. Yeah. I mean, we haven't all left, right? Most of us have already left in the last 5 years during COVID, but there's still a lot of them out there. A lot of good people out in California, and I think there's enough to change it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, you know, I honestly believe that the majority of the votes against that sort of make California golden again movement is essentially related to fraud, related to people who are true believers, true ideological communists, and then obviously, you know, illegals that are on the voter rolls. I mean, so I think that if we had all things being equal, a free and fair election that wasn't totally fake and gay, then we could be assured that this movement would take off and it would be successful. It really does feel like they're on the cusp of making that happen. You know, to your point about people being afraid to speak out, you know, that's also changing. It seems like, you know, people have gotten to the point where it's really too much. I mean, you know, it was one thing when you had homeless drug addicts shooting up in front of the elementary school, but the businesses were still operating. Now you've just got homeless drug addicts shooting up in front of an elementary school, and the encampment is much larger. Plus, there's nowhere for people to work. You know, obviously you can go work online, but there's a lot of people who perhaps their specialty is something that's going to be part of the community. And you know, I mean, if you've got like squatters or you're trying to sell a building and somebody shows up and there's an encampment around it and they're like, you know, and I'm going to go someplace else. I'm just going to go see what they have available in Texas. It puts people between a rock and a hard place. And so I feel like people have been pushed to the edge, and I see so much more open support online. And I know that like Twitter is not necessarily real life, but just across the board, you've got people who seemingly, I think maybe just 2 years ago, would have been too afraid to step forward and say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to be looking for something else to be done here in California, because the same old is obviously not working. We've had a generation of failure, and another generation of failure is just going to lead to more failure.
Exactly right. I mean, it's if you want more of the same in California, vote for Karen Bass, right? If you want to be poor, if you want to have more crime, if you want more zombie drug addicts running around, vote for Karen Bass, right? If you want to see change, if you want to see something different, then you're going to go on the Spencer Pratt route, right? I mean, it's as clear as night and day. Yeah. I mean, just to me, it's shocking that she's even in this position, right? And how she hasn't been thrown out. Yeah. I mean, the fact that she's leading in the polls now is still crazy by 5 or 10 points. Yeah. I mean, I don't know one person who supports her. Literally, I don't know one person who thinks that she is an advocate for California citizens. Not one, right? She posts something, she gets 500 likes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And nobody cares. Right? Nobody cares. The comment section eats her alive every single time. I mean, it's a huge ratio. Huge ratio. and I think it's almost, I wouldn't say it's quite sexy yet to be a conservative in California, but we're getting there. Yeah. Right. We're absolutely getting there. And 5 years ago, that was a afterthought, right? You would have never have thought that was how it would be. But when houses burn down, when 50,000 houses burn down and they don't have water in the reservoir, and they still don't have water in the reservoir, right? I mean, my dad's still in La Cañada. Altadena burned down to the ground. Yeah. That's one. It's 5 miles away from my house almost burnt down several times in California. So it's like when you get beaten down and beaten down and beaten down, you change, right? Yep. Something changes in people's minds, and it's every single day people are flipping red every single day in California. They're just like, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't support a party that is this inept. And we're seeing change, and I'm really excited to see it. I mean, it's exciting for me personally, because that's why I left, right? That's why most people leave California, is because of this nonsense. Yeah, I don't want Karen Bass. She doesn't represent me, right? She doesn't represent me. Ted Cruz does. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Much better trade-off, definitely. So how about life in Texas? I mean, since the advent of Trump 2.0, have you noticed any significant positive change happening down there as well? I mean, I don't know which area you live, but like obviously at one point when the new administration came in, there was all of this conversation for years about the number of getaways, illegals coming across the border and just being released into the country. And I know that obviously Texas has absorbed a lot of that over the years, but I've wondered, if that has measurably changed since President Trump came back. Big time. I mean, I've been in downtown Dallas, uptown area for almost 6 years, and I can tell you on every single block, there's a 100-story skyscraper being built in Dallas. Wow. It is insane, the building that they're doing down there. 5 minutes from where I live, they're opening up the Texas Stock Exchange. Oh, really? Yes. Oh, I had no idea. That's cool. So it's going to be Texas and Florida are becoming the financial hubs, the financial districts. Yeah. All Citadel, JP Morgan, all of these places are moving to either Texas and or Florida, and they're leaving California. They're leaving New York, right? Yeah. They don't see a future with Mindami, okay? Yeah. And I don't blame them. They're voting with their dollars. We're seeing financial institutions that usually kind of keep their mouth shut actively campaigning for conservatives right now, right? I mean, I've never seen this. This is something that is, usually these big, the BlackRocks, the Kens, all these guys that are, they kind of stay neutral, right? Now they're all voting, they're all talking about how this is the reality of it. We're leaving to Texas, we're leaving to Florida, and this is the reason why. Yeah. I mean, I can go over a list of 1,000 different companies that have left California in the last 5 years, right? Yeah. I mean, they're just leaving, and all those jobs are gone, and all that tax money is gone, right? And where is it going? It's going to places like Texas, right? Yep. I mean, it's absolutely booming in Texas, and I love it. The culture is different. The people are great here. You know, the women are awesome. You can actually talk to them and have a conversation with them. It's not like Los Angeles where everybody's kind of in their own little in their own space and nobody talks to anybody and everybody's separated, right? I mean, it's a totally different culture. Not back and forth, right? You know, Noble Gold's still in Encino, California.
Yep.
So I'm back and forth all the time from California and Texas, and it really is like living in two different worlds.
Right on, right on. Well, listen, on the subject of gold, you know, we've never obviously had a chance to talk about this before, but I've been working with Noble Gold for a really long time, and the price of gold and the price of silver both are gangbusters. You know, I mean, like over the course of the last 20 years, that's really when I started like paying attention to this stuff. Basically, when I became a father, I started paying attention to things, you know, from a financial sense. And obviously being a fan of Ron Paul, you know, I mean, like that really put my mindset on, you know, what is real money? You know, where can you hold real value? And gold and silver, I mean, you know, gold is, I don't know the exact number, but, you know, close to 5,000. Silver, I think, is at like 75. And both of those numbers are absolutely incredible compared to, you know, what it was just a couple of years ago. You know, when we're talking about the future of gold and the future of silver, where do you think the ceiling is? I mean, do you think that like this is the new normal and we're just going to sit kind of in this area for the next couple of years, maybe the next generation, or is this like a continued trend that you guys see?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no ceiling, right? Okay. Gold is money. Everything else is credit. Mm-hmm. So it's not that gold is more valuable. It's not that gold is more rare. Gold isn't going up. The dollar, the purchasing power of the dollar is going down.
Okay.
That's it. So it's gold is the canary in the coal mine. When governments print too much money, when interest rates stay too low for too long, right? Gold reacts. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, Alan Greenspan used to talk about it, right? He used to watch the price of gold when he was making his Fed announcements, right? When his Federal Reserve policy that he was in charge of was based off the price of gold. Mm. Right? It's not anymore, obviously, with any of these other Fed officials, right? I mean, Powell hasn't given the thought of gold. You know, it was $1,500 when he started. Mm-hmm. Now it's $4,500. Yeah, it's because of him, right? Jerome Powell has been, you know, and Joe Biden have been the number one gold salesman for 5-10 years in a row. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's the reality of it. So people are realizing that, hey, I work my ass off to make money. 40% of it goes to the government. The 60% that I have left, I want to have purchasing power when I go to use that money, right? I don't want to leave it in the bank and earn 1% interest. I want to have it in gold and silver that preserves my purchasing power. I mean, you could go back to 1,000 years. An ounce of gold still buys you the same basket of goods that it did 1,000 years ago. And in 1,000 years from now, it'll still buy you the same basket of goods. All it's doing is freezing your purchasing power in time. Mm-hmm. That's what I really want people to understand today is when you buy gold and silver, you're freezing that purchasing power. So when you go to use that money in the future, you can buy something, right? I mean, think about what $100 a couple years ago was compared to today. I mean, pre-Obama, I remember my dad giving me a 20. And I can go to the movie theater. I can go to Taco Bell. I can get a drink and a popcorn and still have a couple bucks left over. Mm-hmm. You know, now I tease. I can't go on a date for under $200 or $300.
No, you can't.
Right? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the fact that our money has lost so much purchasing power in the last 5 years, and everybody feels it. Right? Usually, inflation is a couple percent a year, and you don't really feel it. Right? It's kind of steady goes up. But right now, it's spiking, right? Mm-hmm. Everything's more expensive. The price of everything from gas to meat, right? Rent, energy. But it's more expensive priced in dollars. Mm-hmm. Okay. Priced in gold and silver, it's never been cheaper.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to explain that, right? When you have your purchasing power in silver, a silver quarter today, a 1964 earlier silver quarter is worth $14 today. That wild. Could buy you 1 gallon of gasoline for like 20 years. From 60s to the 70s. Mm-hmm. That could get you 1 gallon of gasoline. So today, even if you're in the communist state of California where it's $7 a gallon, gas is half the price of what it was 50 years ago, priced in silver. Mm-hmm. Right? Gold, it used to be 200-300 ounces of gold to get you this an average home in America. You know how many ounces of gold it is now to get you an average house in America?
Not too
less
many.
Than 100,
yeah.
Less than 100,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, gold and silver are replacing the dollar. Gold and silver are replacing treasuries. Gold and silver is the real honest money. When this country was set up, right? When our founding fathers drafted the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, they didn't even consider paper money as an option. Right? Gold, what's a $1? What's $1? What's the definition of $1? Well, it's a certain weight of silver.
Yeah, okay.
That's what a dollar is, right?
Okay.
It's not a Federal Reserve note. It's not an IOU or a piece of paper. It's a weight of silver. It's a weight of gold. All of our $20 bills from 1776 to 1933 were a 1 ounce gold coin, a double eagle. Mm-hmm. Okay, the government couldn't print money out of thin air.
Yep.
If they wanted to add new money to circulation, they had to go out and find the gold, mine it, refine it, assay it, and mint it into coins and bars. Now it's 2 clicks on a computer screen, boom, $10 trillion all of a sudden exists.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing, right? I mean, there is no ceiling on gold and silver. So we're going to see gold hit $10, $20, $50,000 an ounce. We're going to see silver hit $200, $300, $500 an ounce. And when you go to McDonald's, it's going to be $50 for a Big Mac.
Oh my God.
That's where we're going. I mean, it's not like gold and silver are going to go up and everything else is going to stay the same price, right? Yeah. I mean, they're making a $250 bill. We're going to be like Zimbabwe soon. We're going to have $1,000 bills, $10,000 bills, $20,000 bills because our money is worthless.
Yeah. Yeah. That's obviously... that's like the worst case scenario, but I mean, it's true. I mean, when they announced that $250 bill the other day, I was like, cool, but I mean, like, I do not want to have to wheelbarrow, millions of dollars over to the bank, to be able to, like, I don't know, put some money on a bill or have to wheelbarrow that stuff over to the gas station. I mean, it's insane that that's the direction that we're going. And, I mean, when you think about addressing inflation, I don't really know of any other way that we can. Other than pegging the dollar once again to gold and silver, or we can even do commodities. I mean, there's a whole host of things that they could do to be able to attach real value to it over again. It's funny, that story you told about college, the exact same thing happened to me. And I too got in trouble with my professor because he was talking about the scarcity of dollars in the financial system. And I was like, well, that's not exactly true. I mean, the Fed just prints money anytime they want. I mean, that's how we get inflation. And he was like, what's your name? He was like not happy about it, and being reminded that the Federal Reserve is not a federal agency. I mean, like when people are confronted with this, they're either like, you're not supposed to talk about that, or there's something wrong with you for noticing, which, always made no sense to me. But it's true. I don't know how else we can address inflation unless we do this, unless we repeg the dollar to something of real value, because otherwise it is that future that you described. I mean, that would be the direction we're going. I mean, you just... it's playing out right now.
Yeah. It's happening right now in front of our eyes. But there's a reason why gold's at $4,500 an ounce. There's a reason why silver is at 75.
Yeah.
Right? It's happening in front. If you're waiting for Trump to come out and say, hey, we're going back to the dollar, right? We're not going to pay the interest to the Chinese. You're going to be waiting your whole life.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. It's happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
There's a reason why central banks and countries and very large, very rich people own gold and silver. Okay. Yeah. It's one of the most simple assets in anybody's portfolio, right? It's not some intangible. It's not some zero on a computer screen. It's an ounce of gold or silver that you hold in your hands, that you can barter, that you can trade with, that the banks don't know you have, that the IRS doesn't know you have. You have complete indemnity with it, right? It's yours. It's behind the veil, which is amazing. And that's why the CIA official wasn't holding on to dollars, right? That's why he wasn't holding on to Bitcoin or crypto or any other nonsense, right? He had real money, right? CIA officials know what the hell they're doing. There's a reason why he's smuggling gold and he's not smuggling anything else, right? There's a reason why the Federal Reserve, while the private banking systems in America and every other country holds gold and silver. Yeah. Right? They're not holding peanut butter. They're not holding ribeyes, right? They're holding gold and silver for a reason. There's a reason why gold and silver have been used as money for 5,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. Very, very true.
It's the only real money. It's the only honest money. It's mentioned in the Bible for a reason, right?
Yep.
It really is the only honest money. And once you have the government in control of printing money, it never works out right? The fiat currency since the beginning of time every fiat currency has gone to zero, with the average lifespan of 25 years.
No, we're really
and we're 45 years in on our last leg.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we are literally on our last leg, and people are realizing that.
Yeah.
And it's becoming sexy to own gold and silver again. It's becoming sexy to be in this industry. Right. 10 years ago, I was in the same chair. It wasn't sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
It wasn't. Now it's sexy. Now everybody's buying. Now everybody wants to know how I can convert my IRA, how I can buy metals. Should I get out of the stock market? Should I do this? Should I do that? Right. I wasn't getting any of those questions from friends and family 10 years ago. Right. Now all of them are buying.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that switch flip with people. And I've said this for a long time. Unfortunately, the average person is going to buy their first ounce of silver at $200-$300 an ounce.
Yeah, that's insane to me. You know, it's like I've got a room full of gold and silver. You know, I mean, like I keep it and I just go in there and look at it, and it's crazy to me how much it's increased in value since I started picking it up many years ago. And there's a lot of people out there like that, but there's even more people out there who simply just haven't even gotten started yet. You know, I was just thinking about the very first time I ever talked to somebody from Noble Gold. I want to say that gold was at maybe like $1,800 an ounce, you know?
That's correct.
And so, I mean, like thinking about that, you know, I mean, like hundreds of percentage points in value accumulation over the last couple of years. And so I mean, it's just
and silver was under 20.
Yes.
I bought my first 100 ounces of silver with student loan money at $12 an ounce. It was $1,200 to get 100 ounces of silver at the time.
That's a good deal. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've been here at Noble almost 10 years, so going on 9 years. And when I started, gold was around 1,000, and silver was around 10.
Yeah, that's insane. So
and now look at it. Now it's at 75.
Yep.
Right. So it's gone up 7.5 times silver, and gold's gone up 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4x. Yep. And it's not like I'm this old man. Right? I might be losing my hair, but I'm not an old man. Right.
Yep.
I'm 35 years old. So it's not like I've been in the gold business for 15, strong 15 years. So just what I've seen in 15 years, the gains that I've seen. Imagine in the next 15 years, right?
Yeah.
When it's $50 for a Big Mac and it's $50,000 for an apartment in Milwaukee, right? Because that's where we're going, and people don't realize that's exactly where we're going. That's why when you go to Asia and you go to all these countries, it's $200,000 for an espresso, right?
Yep.
It's because they've inflated their money away to where it's completely worthless. And that's where we're going, right? That's exactly where America's going. Unless we stand up and change it, unless we vote with our dollars, we get all these corrupt politicians out, we get all these Democrat politicians out, and we replace them that people with love that love America and that want what's best for their citizens, right? That's the only solution. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not, right? I mean, it's wishful thinking. In a perfect world, that's going to happen, but the reality is, it's probably all going to collapse, and the dollar's going to collapse. And gold and silver are going to skyrocket. Yeah. I mean, that's you look at it. There's probably an 80% chance of it happening that way, and a 20% chance of it of voting the politicians out and getting honest money back in this country. So, for me, I've already switched to gold and silver many years ago. I see gold and silver as money. I see paper money as something that I don't want to hold on to, and it's done very well for me. It's done very well for our clients here at Noble Gold. And it's exciting to see, right? It really is exciting to see, because we were talking about this years ago, and it seemed like it was so far into the future. Yeah. Right. Just a couple years ago, it seemed like, $5,000 gold's crazy, right? $100 silver's crazy. Well, we're there. Yeah. Right. I mean, it ain't crazy anymore. It's reality.
It is totally. All right. Well, listen, for those of you listening at home, obviously, if you want to get in touch with Noble Gold, link is in the description, noblegoldinvestments.com/redpill78. You guys have real Americans that people can talk to if they have questions, they want to get some information. Anything else that you want to give out to the audience before we close out today?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, at Noble Gold, our principle here since we started has been about education, about teaching people what their avenues are, right? We're not high pressure guys. We're not going to try to sell you some overpriced proof coin or ounce and a half coin like a lot of other places do, right? We're going to educate you. We're going to teach you about gold and silver. And we only have products that I own personally, that Colin owns personally, that all of our members at Noble own personally, right? So that's very important. I can't tell you how many times I talk to people on a daily basis where they ask, hey, I got this ounce and a half coin. Did I get a good deal? No, you didn't, right? No. You didn't. If you have to ask me, you didn't get a good deal, right? Yeah. And do your research. A lot of people don't realize. They just go with, oh, I heard this person on with Mitt Romney or this person, so I trust them, right? Yeah. Do your research. Look at their reviews. Yeah. Something that Noble that we stand by is our reviews, and we have thousands of reviews out there, and a lot of them with my name personally, and that's something that I'm very, very proud of, and we're going to continue that. And there's a reason why we've sold $5 billion worth of gold and silver in the last 9 years. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a big reason for that, because and most of our business that people don't realize is repeat and referral. Yeah, right. We have most of our business every single month is repeat and referral because we do good by our customers. And they want to send us their referrals. They want to send us their family members. And that's something that I'm very proud of, and I'm humbled by, and I'm touched by. And I love it. I have the best job in the world here, Zach. I get to convert fiat money into real money.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up too, Josh, because this is another reason I've worked with Noble Gold for so long. There's been a sort of an exposure up taking place within the gold world, because there's also been an explosion in so-called gold companies. There's a big difference between bullion and numismatics, okay? Those are collectible gold coins, collectible silver coins. Those are going to obviously have a price premium on them, and maybe you can sell them to somebody on eBay or something like that for something close to the price that you got. But if you're looking for like dollar-to-dollar value in your gold, you're obviously going to be looking at buying bullion. And, this is not something I've ever heard about Noble Gold, but I've had a lot of other gold companies. People have come to me and said, oh, Zach, I went with this big flashy gold company and I gave them my $150,000 IRA and they converted it. Something happened. I need to get my money back, and half of it's gone. And, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Well, they're obviously giving you the value of the market value of the gold. Very different than if you go in there and buy something that's collectible. Never had any problems with people having that experience at Noble Gold.
And they never will.
No.
Right? I mean, they never will. So I run the sales department, right? So it's me. I make that decision. I don't sell that crap. Yep. Noble Gold doesn't sell that crap. We don't even have that to offer. Yep. Right? Yep. That's not something that we do. We don't take advantage. Okay. Yeah. We make a few percentage, right? We have to stay in business. We're not running a charity here. Sure. But the bullion business is run on very, very small percentages. Yeah. If you hear the term numismatic coin or specialty coin, right? Run. Yeah. Don't walk. Run. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do your research. Don't go with the when you get a quote for something, talk to another dealer. See if that's even something that makes sense, right? Yeah. I mean, so many people don't do that, and then I get the call afterwards, after they've already made the trade, and it's a year or two later, and it's like I'm the doctor that has to tell them they got stage 4 cancer, right? Yeah. You got screwed. Like, this is what happened. The price of gold was $2,000 an ounce. You paid $4,000 an ounce for your specialty coin. Yeah. Right. You've just broke even though gold is doubled. Yep. I mean, I have this conversation with people every single day, and they wonder how the hell can they get away with it? How the hell do they do it? Right? Yeah, it's really sad. It's caveat emptor, buyer beware. You need to do your own research, and you need to go with a reputable gold dealer that has good reviews and has been around for a while, not just for a year or two, or doesn't have some flashy guy with that's talking about this or that, right? Yeah. You got to be very, very specific on who you do business with. It's super, super important, especially when it comes down to large sums of money, right? Yes. I mean, if you buy a car, you do research. You buy a house, you do research. When you're converting your IRA, you need to do research. You need to talk to different companies. That's so important.
Very, very important. All right. Well, Josh, it's been a great conversation, man. I really appreciate you stopping by, and I look forward to being able to speak to you again in the future.
Absolutely, Zach. I appreciate your time as well.
Have a great day. We'll see you.
Thank you, Zach. You too.